Hey everybody, it's Jason. We are heading out to Downingtown, Pennsylvania to check out a property where there's not just a water feature in the back, but there's also one in the front. Let's go check in on Deb.
It's our goal to help people design, build, and maintain their outdoor living spaces. Keep building your outdoor dream.
How are you today?
Great seeing you.
Great to see you.
Great seeing you.
Hey, I wanted to bring everybody out and show them around. Can we take a look around today?
Sure.
I want to show them some of the projects we've done.
Okay, let's go do it.
All right. We're here at the Pondless Waterfall. That's the first project that we did. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the first project that you did for me.
When did we do that?
We did that in 2011. So I remember coming on the pond tour twice, and I said, you know what? I have a backyard, perfect place for a pondless waterfall. And this originally was a bank that had nothing on it. If you remember, it was grass. You couldn't even cut it.
Yep.
You weed whacked it once a season and hoped nothing else came up. So, and that's where we started. And it actually started with my building over there. You know, I had a family member who wasn't able to get out anymore, and I wanted a place for him to come and sit, and I wanted something for him to look at and to hear the sound of water.
Yeah.
And that was my motivation why I wanted this here.
What we did with this one, which was kind of unique and fun, like we said, it was early on, so we started the water in two different locations. So it was coming from the left and the right when you're looking out the windows, and kind of ending up in two different places, but joining in the middle. So that was a lot of fun. So we got our pump basin over here, and we have two pumps housed in the bottom there that pushes water up, one to each side. When we came out to install it, a big focus was making sure that everything was visible from the deck, from inside, so that you and Joe would be able to enjoy it as much inside as outside.
You're absolutely right, and that's a key point because I have big glass windows in the house, and I wanted to be able to sit in there and actually see it looking out the windows. I knew I didn't want the maintenance of fish because I'd have every piece of wildlife back here, in here, going after the fish. So this made much more sense to me to have a pondless waterfall than to have a pond. Lower, you can go in and get most of the leaves out.
Yep.
During the fall, and it's great. I can turn it off when at night if I don't want it on. I can turn it off if we go away for a weekend. So I really like having what I call a pondless cascading waterfall. What I love best about it is that dramatic drop that comes down and really gives a lot of beauty to it. And then at night, there's lights behind there, so it actually shines through the waterfall, giving it a completely different illusion.
So after the landscaping was installed to the left and right of the waterfall, we went and installed these steps in 2014. And one of the things that I really like about them, the fact that they're natural stone, but the longer that they've been installed, the more natural they get to look. There's moss starting to grow on them. You get your ferns that grow into the nooks and crannies. Some of your ground covers and thyme start to grow over where you can't tell where one rock stops and the next one starts. So I really like this pathway through here.
Oh man, so do I, Jason. You know, when you were talking to me, I just, in my head was envisioning, oh, you're just gonna put little stepping stones like you see all over the place. And when this went in, and it was this beautiful curve up around to here, and then actually a planting area right in the middle where I could get a full-size Japanese maple put in. It blew my mind because it was beyond my expectations of what I thought we could do. And if you remember too, the other reason was to bring them over to my Umbrella Prime, which is one of the showcases of my property here. So the way we incorporated and just brought that in so naturally was one of the big pluses of this project.
Many times I'm told that properties and projects can be very overwhelming. But what we're talking about here is that the waterfall was done first, some of the landscaping was done second. So we did a lot of this in stages.
Absolutely. You know, that was one of the positive things I think you can bring. You don't have to do everything at once. You can live with some of it. You can say, gee, I can see what this will do if I expand it here and expand it there. And this is a classic example, because if you remember, our project was just to put steps up here. And once I saw the steps up, I said, you know what? I always wanted a fire pit and a patio up here, and voila, they somehow appeared.
So the fire pit's up top. Maybe we should go check it out.
Yeah, let's go check it out.
All right, after you.
Thank you. What do you think?
Wow, this looks great. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, it still looks good.
I really like this fire pit. It was one of the only ones that Chad constructed that way, and I just think it's really, really cool. I like the copper on top and that stacked stone underneath. He really did a good job.
He knocked it out of the ballpark here. And because my request was, I want something that looks kind of oriental to go with the whole theme of my gardens. And you know, why I wanted it to work, I also wanted it as an architectural feature, because you can actually see this from the deck and from the house at night. And this actually has lights on and lights it up, so it becomes kind of a neat fixture.
We have the stone around the outside, which this stone is awesome, but the one thing that you can't do is put fire right against it, because if this gets too hot, it can actually burst. So there's a fire pit on the inside of this with an air gap that allows for airflow to allow air to get into our fire, but also not get the stone so hot that it pops.
Wow, I didn't even know that's the reason for it, so I learned something today. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. And anybody who comes here really talks a lot about it. And then it was Chad's ideas too, to put in these little seats built right into my bank here, and you know, you can sit around and have a nice glass of wine or toast marshmallows.
We're on still a pretty good slope. You get a lot of water that comes down across here, so that all had to be cut in, and those rocks put around the outside in order to allow us to have a nice flat patio. So whenever you're working with slopes and grades like we are here, I think that those projects always come out the best. They look incredible because you're working with the natural slopes. So we were talking about working in stages. Yeah. We were going to do the steps.
Right.
And then what?
And then it was funny. You came to do the steps, and once I kind of looked at everything, and we were kind of tore up here and tore up there, and I visioned this up here, I said, you know what, while you're bringing that stone in, I always wanted that patio redone, and I always wanted the front walkway redone. And what you did, I just had the typical around the curve walkway, and you could be able to put this nice curve in it, and then, you know, we were able to landscape the front again.
Let's go show them the front walkway.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
So here's the front walkway.
Yeah, it looks good. It's holding up very well.
Yeah.
So this walkway was installed the same way as the patio. And what we did was we excavated down about 7-8 inches. We put in a clean stone bed, which is that bed of gravel to allow all the water to go down through. We mixed up a wet concrete mortar basically and put each one of these pieces of stone down. We are in one of the worst freeze thaw environments around, so by installing it that way, it basically creates a break joint in between each stone. And then we use a polymeric sand that will fill in the joints and help with all the weeds and everything, but it's also flexible that way.
I totally love the look of it. And the curve. I mean, that just brought something so different than what was a brick walkway put in by the builder, you know, going to the front steps. We were able to put walkway lights in here, but more importantly, if you remember, we were able to come up the driveway and put lights on every tree up the driveway, which just I drive up my driveway at night and says, this can't be my house, it can't be this beautiful. And that was a significant thing with the lighting that you were able to put in.
I really like your lot, very wooded, and it's on a slope, which we already talked about, which is challenging, I know, but it's also, it looks incredible. But when you come up the driveway, as you're coming up on the left-hand side, what was there before we did some landscaping through there?
It was trees, but they were little trees. It was pachysandra that had died out. It was weeds, it was ferns, it was horrible. It was kind of one of those things I used to ignore and pretend it wasn't part of my property when I came up here. But that's what was there first. And if you remember, I was gonna just have a couple trees trimmed. And then what happened was I said, you know what? I'm not doing this again. Let's just take them all out. And that's what you guys did. You cleared the whole thing. But then I'll be honest, I was left with the challenge. I didn't realize when you pull trees, you pull roots. When you pull roots, you pull ground. And all of a sudden I had a ground covering a mud, you know, and I said, we got to do something, Jason. And that's where you came to the rescue again.
So we got it landscaped, and I think we really got it looking good. We put some rock along the driveway just because the amount of water that flows, not just from your property, but this starts up beyond.
Absolutely.
Water runs downhill, that hasn't changed.
Yeah, that hasn't changed at all. So yeah, what you created here up the driveway is just unbelievable. And the other thing was that I think was very key to the landscaping side of it was you gave me plants, mostly, they're all perennials. They come back every year, the ferns spread. So each year I get a little more covering and a little less maintenance down there, which is key when you have an area as big as coming up my driveway to maintain.
So after you come up the driveway and you pass all that landscape bed, we run into the latest feature that we've done besides some landscape maintenance.
Oh yeah, this one's kind of an interesting. If you remember, I had a big spruce there that started dying, and I mean it was ugly. So with talking with Becky, we said, what can we do? And she started picking out some great suggestions of trees. But then I said, gosh, that's exactly what I need, another tree on this property. And you and I talked, and I really had liked the new fountains that you brought in. And I said, can we do something with fountains? And voila, this is what happened. Also on a kind of different note, I know you know the story. I actually lost my husband a couple years ago, and I wanted to do something very special for him. And this has become the Joseph Riley Memorial Garden.
So the way that we constructed this one is a lot like a pondless waterfall. It really is a pondless waterfall. And then we added some of the fountains to it. So we added another pump into the basin. That pump is pushing up into all three fountains. We have ball valves that allow us to adjust the water flow for each urn. That way we can get the look that we want. And then to make sure that everything looks good at nighttime, they got lights in them as well. So
yeah, and that's one of the things I love. When you look at the top of these fountains at night, it's actually like fire coming out. Hey, Longland Gardens got nothing on me.
Just like most of our projects, I think they look good when we get done, but Becky comes in and makes them look great by doing all the landscaping around them, putting all the detail and the finishing touches. And one of the things that I really like is that there's aquatics in the center. You know, many times it's just landscaped around the outside when we see some water features. Incorporating the plants into the inside is so important in order to get that natural look and to make it look good.
And you're absolutely right. And one of the things I think Becky has taught everyone is you don't have to have aquatic plants to be in there. You can bring other annuals and perennials in and incorporate them into the look. So that allows you to bring some different textures and colors and flowers that, you know, you would not do if you thought only aquatics can go in water.
These are some big rocks.
These are some big rocks, Jason. It's kind of a byproduct, if you remember. When we started digging there, now I know why my blue spruce didn't grow, is we unearthed 3 huge rocks. These 2 and one that you incorporated in the fountain. So this was kind of a side project when these rocks came out, but I could vision making them into cool seats so you could sit here and overlook mountains and the waterfall there.
And now they're sitting underneath the tree, which it's a hot day today, and they were able to sit in the shade and enjoy. So, come out good. I like it. So thank you for showing us around.
No problem whatsoever. It was my pleasure to share the beauty that you helped create at this property.
We appreciate all the business along the way, and if anybody wants to check it out, remember to stop by on one of the tours. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments below. Please remember to like and subscribe. And until next time, keep building your outdoor dreams. See you, Deb.
See ya.
If you would like to start building your outdoor dreams today, contact Turpin Landscape Design Build.
If you have any questions, please remember to, sorry, screwed it up. Just go.